This episode is the start of Subaru facing the consequences of her guilty conscience of trying to block Rintaro and Kaoruko's relationship. But before that gets started, Rintaro is shocked that his squad of bro-tards, why would Kikyo girl say such a mean thing, is about to figure out that Kaoruko and himself have some kind of sneaky relationship. But no, Rintaro snatches away from Ayato, and this creates a weird red line between his friends and his super secret friend that happens to make his face go blush red and his heart go doki doki. Saku, being the only smart one around, is putting all the pieces together that Rintaro's interaction with Kaoruko haven't been just coincidence, and it has been really odd lately that he's been constantly defending the Kikyo girls. Ayato would be all of us right now if one of the boys starts seeing a girl and says, "What kind of relationship do you guys have?" Rintaro is like most dudes when it comes to their feelings. I don't want to talk about it. One major and super mature aspect of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is how realistically well-rounded Rintaro and his friends are. We have Baka Baka, we got Cold-Blooded, but we know Sake has a sweetheart underneath, and we have Yorita, who can read Rintaro's expressions like his fists. No matter how much the Kikyo girls put these Chidori boys down, we can all see what special qualities Rintaro's friends have that you actually need in the real world, beyond the brains. Although we see Rintaro conflicted, he's still trying to be considerate of his friends and even apologizes to Ayato for just snatching his notebook abruptly like that. Rintaro is definitely a growing teenager, finally having to deal with deeper thoughts, his feelings, emotions, and how to navigate his social surroundings without causing people trouble. He certainly feels like he is acting out of place, but still seeing that Kaoruko wrote that note and how much she helped them pass, he still had to thank her. Look at her, with braids, cheesing over Rintaro thanking her, thinking about how cool he'll look doing athletics. Except one major flashback is like a major foreshadowing, as Subaru points out that it is the teachers at Kikyo that they should be worried about the most because they hate Chidori more than the students, piggybacking on the major Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity themes that prejudice is learned, taught, and that it's actually kind of more gray area than we think. Shohei and Ayato try to cheer Saku up, not because of Rintaro talking to a Kikyo girl, but the fact that Rintaro doesn't trust the homies. Like how Rintaro sees his friends as being the ones that lifted him out of unjust prejudice and misery, Saku sees Rintaro the same way, of what Rintaro's friendship did for him. Shohei tries to play into his coldness, but Saku goes limp, being down in the dumps about Rintaro not willing to express how he truly feels. But the homies know what's inside the real Rintaro. He's always looking out for them, and Ayato points out that Rintaro treated that super secret ultra mega study guide like it meant something significant to him. The fact that he expressed he didn't want to talk about it means Rintaro is still being genuine with them. Is this like a real recognize real moment? Eventually, when he is ready, he'll be able to express why that study guide and Kaoruko is so important to him. Back at Mommy Cakes, Rintaro is being a total Debbie Downer in front of the mother that brings happiness to everyone's tummies. Prying at her son's cake brains, he eventually reveals he passed all of his exams, and with his highest score being 59. It's an absolute miracle to Mommy Cakes. Bro is flabbergasted that his own mother had such little faith in him. I mean, it couldn't have been the hundreds of other times he failed, and how dense he can be, but damn. I'm hurt for Rintaro too. The door opens, and guess who? The girl that's always here for Rintaro's mom's cakes, and to sneak a peek at her son. Waguri explains that she's giving herself a reward for passing midterms. And so the Mommy Cakes pulls the I will embarrass my son in front of the girl he likes maneuver. Bro goes radio silent, and so Mommy Cakes has to turn into Wing Mommy and disappears into the kitchen. Before sweet goodies can enter Kaoruko's tummy, high five. Or not. She has to spell it out for Rintaro that she's congratulating him for passing his exams and being able to compete in the sports festival with his boys. And so eventually, Rintaro swaps body heat to body heat with his hands and Kaoruko's hands, but gives the weakest low fives that would make mommy cakes more embarrassed than him failing his exams. Waguri senses the serotonin levels all over this Debbie Downer, and she gives him the advice that we all know she would give: eat more mommy cakes. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, food makes a girl turn from hanger to bliss. So obviously it would do the same for Rintaro too. And so he just ends up busting out laughing, like a rude one. But let's be real, our little petite Waguri must have the craziest metabolism. They lock eyes after the mood shifts into the wonderful world of inner dialogue. Mommy Cakes opens the door and then shuts it, as it looks like Waguri left. When a girl has you smitten, it can surely make your feelings and mood shift in an instant. Although he agreed with Subaru that his growing relationship with Kaoruko may be problematic for her down the line, sometimes you have to explore something that compels you to do so. It's a respect and a growing love for a person that never once saw Rintaro, based only on his appearance, but what's packaged sweetly inside. Kaoruko is out here consistently making Rintaro make goofy faces. A genuine smile on a guy like Rintaro's face is quite the feat. She wants to play games with her own logic, as if she wasn't 100% hoping that Rintaro would be there when she showed up at the shop. Seeing that Rintaro left her message on red, she is starting to feel like maybe she should have asked what's wrong, and then she got a message from Subaru. Or wait, is this filler? And it's with mommy cakes? I can't really complain when there's wholesome mother and son bonding time. We are all having a proud parent moment alongside Kyoko, as this scene teases some important backstory character development of Kurokami. I think the creators see the same thing we see, that Rintaro's mom deserves all the extra attention in the world. Look at our tsundere bestie of Kaoruko's, waiting in the park for her bestie to come see her. This isn't any ordinary park. It's the park that takes her back to a place of trauma, in a place where she became besties with her hero. Kaoruko is confused by the sudden request to come here, but like Subaru points out, she can't talk about him at Kikyo. She tells Waguri she spoke with Tsumugi. This episode really highlights how conflicted Rintaro feels with dealing with his friends, and how he does actually still agree with Subaru that his relationship with Kaoruko is probably going to be troublesome for her in the future when people start fighting out. But like what we learned in episode 2, we shouldn't just feed into the prejudice and the stereotypes. And so eventually he'll find a way to respectfully bring everyone together, and so that is going to be his character arc path. And we find out that his friends are continuing to be like the bestest friends possible. This is what makes the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity so special, in the fact that they could just highlight certain attributes about being good people, being understanding, being a good friend. It makes us realize that the people around us contribute a lot more than we think, and how they can defeat this social divide between Kikyo and Chidori. This right here is the foundation that goes beyond that social stigma. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode of the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. If you guys like my recap and my commentary, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. Check out my previous videos on the Sword of the Demon Hunter and the Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. And check out my main channel where I cover Dan and Free Rent. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next video.